For this project, we had really two phases. We had an experimental phase, and some of that work is occurring here in this lab. We also had more of a research phase that was primarily looking at the carbon footprint.
The methodology we used in mainly the research side of the report is that we wanted to look at main categories within the carbon footprint.
We have the Magnegas here in our lab and are actually running it with oxygen under various equivalence ratios to try and understand what the emissions look like: NOx emissions, SOx emissions, carbon emissions.
We looked at the cradle to gate and the cradle to grave carbon footprints, which is essentially including everything that you can possibly include, from where the feedstock comes from to the actual burning of the product. Taronis is unique because they use a reused feedstock, ethanol, that's from another industry, so their carbon intensity from there is next to nothing.
The process that Taronis Fuels utilizes is a plasma arc process that actually breaks an ethanol fuel, and the ethanol they're getting from a fairly, you could say, a renewable source. It's a reuse of the ethanol, so it's a much cleaner process than using natural gas or oil directly. And they break it down in the presence of a plasma arc. That breakdown process is really just dependent upon electricity, which is far cleaner when it comes to a carbon footprint. Overall, we found that Taronis Fuels has a carbon footprint that is a small fraction compared to the size of other footprints of other processes. Now, when you look at electricity and where things are going, renewable energy has penetrated the grid far faster than I think we had anticipated it would only a few years ago. Taronis Fuels could actually take their carbon intensity, which is already well below the industry, and we believe they could cut it by about 60 to 70% more just by switching to a renewable source of electricity. That's a big opportunity as we continue to look at what we're going to need to do to lower the carbon emissions for the United States as a whole and across the entire world.